No, just so we got DeSean Jackson, who of course had a kind of a wild up and down career in the NFL. 1 minute, he's Pro Bowl. Next minute, you're like, dude, why are you always making these crazy mistakes? But all of a sudden now, man, he is in a position where he's going to be getting his coaching on. And so this is something we're starting to see, this trend, if you will, start to happen in and around the NFL, where these ex-players are starting to get these big gigs. Well, these not big gigs, but they're getting these gigs with these historically black colleges. And DeSean Jackson is just the next one to do so. And for me, he's going to be at Delaware State. FYI, I just want to make sure I say that. He's going to be at Delaware State. I have not known DeSean Jackson to be getting his coach on, and I'm not going to say that he hasn't been coaching around L.A., where I know obviously he's from, and I know his kids are in school and whatnot here. So I don't want to make it like he's not doing something, but that's a big get to just all of a sudden become the head coach of a school in Delaware State. But we're starting to see this. They said that he's a perfect fit for their institution. You saw what Coach Prime did at Jackson State, won a couple of games there. You got Eddie George, who's guided Tennessee State to the FCS playoffs this year. So this is what's happening. And I think what ends up happening, Rob, is that this ends up being a win-win for both, right? You're DeSean Jackson. I didn't go through the top-notch high school ranks to then this rank, then assistant coach here or wide receiver coach, and then boom, boom. They get to go and coach somewhere. And yes, they don't have the longest background. Now, Deion Sanders had a little bit more, obviously. But you get these guys that bring a name, that maybe bring some assistant coaches that are other former NFL players, a la what Deion Sanders is doing. And now you've got some big names around your school. And you and I both know a lot of these historically black colleges, their sports programs are hurting. They're losing money. They need to be subsidized at times. They're struggling to, obviously get big recruits, because if you're a great kid, let's say you're African-American, amazing 5-star recruit, where you go to Ohio State, Alabama, Florida, you don't go to Delaware State, you don't go to Tennessee State. And that's what made Coach Prime such a big deal, was him getting his own son, obviously, and then also getting Travis Hunter. So the only thing I have is I would advise Delaware State, Tennessee State, as we saw happen at Jackson State. Use it for what it is. Get DeSean Jackson, get the notoriety, maybe get some bigger recruits than you would normally get, but please have a succession plan in hand, because they're not going to stay long. They might tell you they are. They might tell you, oh, I'm here for the long. I don't think most will, because the rest of the college world is going to call, right? If he goes there and he's successful in 2 years, maybe someone says, hey, come be an assistant coach for me at USC. You're from LA. We'd love to have you here. You can help us get local LA kids, blah, blah, blah. So to have a succession plan, if you're these HBCUs, to me, that you're ready to say, we'll embrace it. The notoriety, the fame, all that comes with it. But we're going to have, some play to ride the momentum, ride the wave, even when, in this case, DeSean Jackson decides to move on.
My issue is, and it's not with just them going to HBCUs, but the idea that there's no place for them to go with the big schools and opportunities. That's what bothers me. Even when you look at Deion, Colorado was a wasteland. Like that wasn't like he took over some great program, right? Yeah. Like that's the thing that is the bad part, is we're in these opportunities for these guys to take over some of these other big time programs. That's the scary part, is that there's no place for them. I love that they're going to HBCUs. Okay, and then what?
Right, and that's
right.
What,
you know what I mean? Like, and then what? Even Deion's as big of a star as you can be. 2-star athlete, coach prime time, and all that. And the best is Colorado, which was a downtrodden program, right? Mm-hmm. I'm serious. If that's for Deion, who played football as a Hall of Famer, baseball,
been out the game for longer
exactly, was on television and all the other stuff that he's had, and that was the best that he could do on the bigger schools. What's left for the other guys who really want to be coaches at these major programs? The major schools have no black head coaches.
I think what's important.
That's crazy to me.
It is. It's really crazy. And the problem with it is, too, you get a Ty Willingham, you get a guy here or there that they're not afforded the bounce back that other coaches are, because we act like Nick Saban is the greatest of all time. Well, Nick Saban was at a few schools. He was at Michigan State, and it was all right. He was solid. And then he goes LSU. And My point is, they're allowed to build. They're allowed to go up. They're allowed to go down. He left to the NFL, didn't have success. They didn't say you can never come back. He came back. Oftentimes, what happens, you get a black coach, he almost becomes like, everything rides on you. You better not be bad, because we're not going to hire one for a long time. And it's similar to kind of what you saw, not to make it all political, but like, all right, Obama, you better work. You better be perfect, because if you aren't, we might not get another one in here for 50, 60, 80 years. And oftentimes you get these coaches, they go to these situations, and it's like, if they don't do well, where is their bounce back? And I think that's something that, listen, no coach is guaranteed he's going to have success. No coach is guaranteed every year he's going to be successful. But the idea that if it doesn't go well, oh, well for you, or someone else coming up under you, I don't like that as well.
Yeah, it's college football is really disappointing. It just is. I mean, it took a long time for black coaches to get opportunities in the NFL, and it's still in colleges. It's just not close to being enough, or the opportunities there, and that's disappointing. It really is.
Yeah.
And I get these guys that want opportunities. We saw it. I remember a lot of people thought when they hired Jeff Saturday, like that was going to be a breakthrough. Oh, a breakthrough for Jeff Saturday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen again.
I think that's why I know Coach Prime might drive some people crazy, because we see him so much and they got fatigue of him. But it's important what he's doing, because him making his team that was 1-8 or whatever, 1-10 they were a couple years prior. Now all of a sudden they won 9, got a chance to beat BYU in a bowl game, have a Heisman Trophy winner. These things, man, are important, because to your point, you think he would have been afforded a bigger opportunity,
right?
But now he's creating it, and so hopefully that he has somebody. I guess what I'm saying is has to blaze a trail. Somebody has to do it, and if it's DeSean now, you'd be grateful for that.
And I'm guessing that these guys eventually would love to coach either major college or get a chance in the NFL, and they think that this is the way in. Right?
I do think, to be fair, it's also they get to skip the line in that I didn't have to go through this. I think sometimes it's like for DeSean Jackson, it's kind of cool. I get to be the head coach fairly out the blue, if you will. Like none of us saw this coming. DeSean Jackson being a head coach, and all of a sudden he is. So I do think they get to jump straight into leading a team faster this way, going to these HBCUs. All
right, is former NFL players becoming coaches in HBCUs really a win-win for the sport? Is it really a win-win for everybody, I should say? We'll continue that conversation next with you.
Rob and I are having a conversation. DeSean Jackson, former receiver in the NFL, most notably with the Eagles, is now the head coach of Delaware State, a historically black college and university. And we're having a conversation of, you think this is a good thing for sports? You're getting these guys, these ex-stars, and DeSean Jackson, Eddie George, Deion Sanders, these opportunities to coach. Is it good for the universities as well? 877-99 on Fox, 877-99 on Fox. Rob, who we got?
Let's start with Mike in Augusta. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
Good evening, y'all. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Well, brother. Happy holidays.
Good. Thanks for taking my call. This is a serious subject for me. I'm from the South, so I have to be careful how I word things, because I've experienced some weird things, growing up here. But I will say this, though. I have mixed feelings about these athletes because, for one, I applaud them getting head coaching jobs, because I can only think of Deion Sanders as the only black head coach at a major university in D1. I could be wrong, but I can't think of anybody else. But on the flip side,
Notre Dame has a black coach.
Yeah, there's a few.
Okay,
but your point is well taken. That you have to scratch your head to think of them.
Right. But on the flip side of that, though, I went to an HBCU. I was at Alcorn State, Steving there, Donald Driver.
Yep.
And a lot of these players that's going back home, so to speak, to black folks, they would have considered playing for an HBCU when they were coming out of high school, but now they're coming back home because that's the only place they get an opportunity. So I'm kind of on the fence with that.
I understand it, and that was my point about there is no other spots at some of these other places. That's my concern. Is this is cool, but where are the other jobs that other people are getting? You know what I mean, Kelvin?
Yeah, no, I think that he brought up a great point of you almost feel like, and I don't want to use the first word, but just you feel like seconds, you know, like, oh, you didn't want me first, so now you want to come and coach. So I get what the caller was saying.
It is a tough spot.
But I think the reason why I still said it's a win-win is, look, I know it's not optimal in the sense of you're getting this person because they desire to be there, although, you know, Coach Prime said he did.
Well, you remember the Ed Reed thing. You remember he went around shooting video, talking about how terrible the facilities were.
Yeah, I do. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up.
I mean, that was a bad, ugly look.
Yeah, Ed Reed was coaching at.
He didn't even start. He got fired before he got right.
Yeah, he was getting ready to go there. He's making. I came coach here. Look at this. Look at that. And he was there. I think it was 25 days. It was at Bethune-Cookman University. Yep. Yeah, he was just talking about the facilities and all of that. And that goes back to my original point. I was saying that, you know, these schools a lot of times don't have big money. They don't have fancy things to draw players. And for those of you who don't know, when these top recruits go to Texas, it ain't just because, Texas wins a lot of games. Well, yeah, a lot of teams win a lot of games. Sometimes it's the training facility, the workout facilities, the lunch cafeteria, like all of these things play into a role. That's why they take them to the fans. That's why these schools spend so much money on.
But also, kids should always remember though, and Travis Hunter is a perfect example that scouts go where the talent is. I mean, I know the schools sell that. You know what I mean? But look at all of the Hall of Famers who went to HBCUs. Shannon Sharp.
Steve McNair he mentioned.
Yeah, Steve McNair. Jerry Rice, considered the all-time great.
So one
of the all-time great. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying that there's all these people. That's incredible.
And you brought up a great point, and that's why you're starting to see like the number one hoop recruit go to BYU. He like, I'll go there and make some money. It don't matter where I go. Y'all gonna come find me. By the way, Walter Payton, Michael Strahan.
That's a ton of
Jackie
people.
Slater, Art Shell, Richard Dent, Steve McNair, Shannon Sharp, Jerry Rice, you know, as we just mentioned there. Obviously, Doug Williams. So, I mean, there's Lynn Barney with the Lions back in the day. Aeneas Williams, a Hall of Famer. So, Deacon Jones, Hall of Famer. So, if you're great and you want to go.
Scouts find talent.
They're going to find you. Robert Mathis is a heck of a player who went there. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Let's try to squeeze in a couple more real quick. Coach in Nashville, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Coach?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, so I've coached football 20 years, 20 seasons, and I've always said through the years, talking about black coaches and not just black coaches, not just white coaches, but also, you know, it's not just an HBC. It's not historically black colleges that I'm talking about. Listen, I've said it for years. A lot of these players that played at the highest level, which is the NFL, they aren't interested in coaching high school first or coaching youth. A lot of these guys that now are deciding to move into college coaching and beyond, they took the hard knocks of coaching youth football. And even though they were at the highest of their game, being paid a lot of money playing NFL, they chose to, hey, you know what? I'm going to start with youth, then I'm going to go to high school, and then I'm going to go beyond. I'm telling you right now, and it's not necessarily a black or white thing. I want to see more black coaches for sure at the highest level in college and NFL and so forth. But I'm telling you, Terry Bridgewater is eventually going to be a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a great point.
He just won a state championship, didn't he, as a high school coach?
And then went back right to the Lions.
Yeah, and then Phillip Rivers. He's going to be another one that's going to be a head football coach in the NFL. But all these guys started in youth, and then Nick Hardwick, who was a great center in the NFL forever, he started coaching youth football. Then he started coaching high school football, and now he's an assistant offensive line coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. Are all these coaches and all these players from the NFL willing to step down a little bit, learn, grow, and then be head coaches at Notre Dame?
Yeah.
like that has a black coach, and
Right.
Sean Foster. You know what I'm saying?
Right, at UCLA. Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's a good one. I'm glad we thought of that
Yep,
too.
yep.
Yeah, Carson Palmer
Thanks, Coach.
is a huge,
Thanks for the
obviously a huge
insight.
name. Yeah, Carson Palmer just signed on to be a head coach out here in Southern California at a high school as well. So
right.
you're going to start to see more of that where these guys want to come, build a program, build a name, get things situated. He made no bones about it, Carson Palmer. He's kind of like, I'm going to be here, set the precedent, but then I want to, keep on moving up that
They
ladder.
were hoping it was going to be the Jeff Saturday route.
Why you keep
to
going
the
to Jeff
NFL?
Saturday?
Because that was so bad. It was so bad. Rob G, we knew it from day one. Remember, everybody was like, oh, yeah, all the players. You don't need to be a coach. You just need to be a leader of men. When he won the first game. You remember that?
Yeah,
Against my Raiders.
when they put him in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah,
After that first win,
after
didn't
that. Unbelievable.
they? Did they put him in the Hall of Fame? All right.